Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Expansion Scapes podcast, where I cover everything about traveling your expansion scapes. And join us today for this, what I hope is going to be a frightening affair, because Darius and I are going to be talking about fear. And my intention is that we're going to get some kind of more intimate understanding of fear and yeah, a more intimate understanding of fear of ourselves, and how do we go about living with fear and working with fear, and what do we do with fear? And in my language, we say, what is it and what do I eat it with? Something like that. Okay. Hey, Darius.
Olga.
Yeah, welcome. And thanks for joining me, because it's a little bit frightening to talk about fear all alone. So you're helping me with my fear.
Unexpected, especially if it's unexpected, isn't it?
Yeah. Like experimentation or something. So I want to just like dive in and jump and ask you a question. In your life, can you look back in your life and remember a moment or a time period when you were particularly facing some kind of fear, or maybe a recurring fear, and you just went through it or worked with it? Like how did you work with it? How did you go through it? And what was the fear?
Okay, I've noticed a specific pattern. Now I'm thinking about it. That whenever I was faced with the situation I was scared of, and I went towards it, this usually became a very transformational thing for me. There was one specific scenario where, let's just say, I was faced with like my own biggest critic, and I had a situation where, like, the worst possible thing, let's just say I was faced with it, and there was no way for me to like run away from it. It's like I had like this voice that was constantly criticizing it in my every move within my own head, and I was like, there was no like running away from it, and I was trying to do all sorts of stuff, and nothing worked until until I realized I need to do something that scares me. And for me, at the time, what it was taking a cold shower. So I was actually afraid of taking a cold shower, and I knew that if I do something that's like really scaring me and I'm doing it, it's gonna change it. And that's exactly what happened. It's like I went into that cold shower, and all of a sudden, like boom, like this voice that was inside of my head, that super critical voice, it shut up. Because it's like I'm doing everything that's that's scary, and even though I was, and after that, it's like I went through this transformation that all of a sudden after that I was craving it. I was craving that, those moments where I'm like really pushing myself and challenging myself. And it got to the point where I was going towards fear so much that the fear itself was afraid of me.
But like the first fear like that you said, oh, it was like a constant voice in my head, and then I decided to do that shower. But the original voice, what it was, as I understand, wasn't about a shower, right? It was like something
No, it wasn't. It was just something very critical about myself. It was just a part of me that was just extremely like the inner critic, like the biggest inner critic you can think of.
Like, what was it saying? I'm just like curious. What was it saying?
Oh my God, it was a while
like
back.
You're not good enough or something.
Yeah, like whatever you're doing is useless. Doing this, this is bad, this is wrong. What's the point of doing it? You've done this wrong, you've done that wrong, kind of a thing. Trying to be good, but it was actually harmful. So what I did, I was like, what, I'm gonna stand up to it and that was the first time I actually stood up to my what I called the shadow self. And I actually did something that was scaring me, which was at the time taking that cold shower, because at the time I was doing Wim Hof's breathing. I was okay doing this because I was afraid of doing the actual cold showers. So ever since getting into that cold shower, I actually developed a habit of being able to go into that cold shower like every morning for a period of time. I mean, I haven't had a cold shower in some times, unless I'm going to the sauna, which is still like has that kind of like, I don't want to do it. But then I go to it and it's like, like it doesn't feel comfortable. But then after it feels so amazing. And that's what I found. Like whenever we do things that we are scared of and we're going towards it and find a way of being able to go towards it in a healthy way, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody or doesn't hurt us, I think it's a very useful thing. Very useful thing to, to get into. Like somebody recommended a book to me ages ago, before that even experience. They said, you need to read a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I was like, why would you want me to read this book? So what happened, I actually read the majority of that book, and it's like something clicked for me. And literally like 3 days later, I managed to get my job interview for like a dream job at the time. So again, it does have an effect. And same with skydiving. I used to be afraid of heights. I used to be afraid of heights, and I knew this was my fear. So I got to the point where I developed so much of that. Okay, I'm scared of that, therefore I need to do it. And when I did it, I had like the most blissful experience. While I managed to do a skydiving thing.
You did skydiving?
While being afraid of heights. Yeah, I did. Yeah. And funnily enough, because I developed this weird relationship with fear, I wasn't even feeling it. That was the very interesting part. So I don't know. It's quite strange. So what's your relationship with fear? Tell me from your side, Olga. What's that for you? Because I think from what I heard, in general, women experience fear in a different way than men do. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
I wish I could tell, but because like I'm not a man, so I don't know what to compare it to. But I definitely wouldn't go like doing skydiving, and I don't like cold showers. But I'm gonna try the cold shower thing because it's not as scary as skydiving. But I did like think about fear, and I asked myself the same question: when in my life do I remember a recurring fear happening, and how did I handle it? And it was like the brightest thing that came up was the fear that I experience when I want to express myself. And now I know that it's just like a big karmic theme for me: self-expression, speaking, creating, writing. It's all like I'm painting. It's all the same thing. So I started learning shamanism some years ago. And at that time, I was just like, okay, well, now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to like create all these things based on my psychic experiences and learnings. And that was when the fear hit me really hard. And it's just relentless. Every time I sit down to write something, the fear takes over. Every time I sit down to paint, I didn't even know that was fear. But later I realized I'm working with it. Like everything that had to do with speaking, like my YouTube channel. And I'm doing, like you said, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's like, I'm afraid of speaking, but it's like all I ever want to do, which is like a, match made in heaven, I want to say. It's like, it's like soulmates or something. It's the only thing I ever want to do, but it's the one thing that I'm super duper afraid of. So I felt this understanding today, actually, when I was preparing for this talk. I realized that fear only happens when it's something that is important to you. Fear doesn't happen when it's like not important, because I don't care about it. So it's like there's very little effort or energy or care that goes into that. Doesn't matter. And like the fear happens only when it's something so important to me. And I guess with life, like important things kind of change. But I think not the super major ones, actually. And I think fear, I even think that fear helps to filter, is a kind of filtration system that helps you to realize like what is truly important to you and go for that.
Can be definitely.
And I know that it's probably like wishy-washy, not clear right now.
That actually relates to a video from Will Smith about skydiving and facing fear, and what he said, that all the best things in life are on the other side of fear. It actually connects with that. How all the there are a lot of things that are hidden behind this wall of fear, like, oh, am I gonna be okay, am I gonna be all right? And and there are also things of oh, I'm scared of I don't know, jumping off a cliff, you should do it. No, I don't think that's the point. I think the point is to be able to do things that have maybe little effect, or might have like a very, very, very extremely small percentage of actually like negative thing happening, and you still do it. Therefore, I'm not saying you should play Russian roulette, because that's a real, again, there's like a quite big percentage of you actually not finishing the game, and that's not the point.
It's like no goal, or kind of like you're kind of canceling out the goal, like if
exactly.
Yeah.
It's about doing the calculated risks and being able to like decrease the amount of actual danger that might happen from the outcome. Does that make sense? And like, and if you do those, and you still, and you say that part of you is scared of it, and you still do it, and it's good for you. Like, for example, for you, speaking out in public, there was, or like drawing or expressing yourself, that might feel like dangerous, like, oh my God, like I'm gonna die kind of a feeling. But what's the real danger? That's the thing, and like being able to face that is, that's where the real magic happens.
Oh yeah, recently I keep writing my book, right, on the 5 elements. And one of the realizations I had that released some of the fear was because I am writing about how the world is structured and how I am structured with regards to the 5 elements, and like spiritually, non-physically, and how it relates to the physical world. So I keep having this voice in my head, I think, like the fear-related voice. Who are you to know this? Who are you to claim to know this? And I have this fear that somebody will come and say, that's not how it works. Prove it. Or like, who are you to say it? It doesn't work like that. So then I realized, sorry?
That's the inner critic I was referring to earlier, but carry on.
Yeah, but I realized that, and I write it in my book all the time, that we all have a unique perspective. We all have a unique perspective. This is our soul's eyes, so to speak, and each of our eyes are unique. And the way I see something and the way you see something is different. Doesn't mean that we're looking not at something true, that is not truth, but also like there's this fight of, is it worth it to share my truth, because it's just me, it's just this tiny little me in the whole big world, and who the hell cares about how I see the world? And then I got this realization of, it was almost like me discovering myself. And I can't even put it in words right now, but it was like, this is how I see the world. And the more I speak it, like write it, put it into words, the more I understand myself. And if I don't put it in words, it's still like wishy-washy. But if I put words on paper, I start to understand myself more. And just this process of self-understanding, I feel like, at least it's my intention, that if another person reads this book and is interested in it, there will be people, a gazillion people, who are not interested in it. It's fine. But those people who would be interested in it, it's my intention that like somebody else goes deeper into themselves. And honestly, I would want to read books by people who go and discover themselves despite of like hundreds or 1,000 voices saying you're not right. You know, like you should agree with someone else. You shouldn't listen to yourself. You should just copy what everybody else is thinking. That's the right thing, right? I would read a book by anybody in the world who takes that journey within and like describes it step by step, because I just know that it's going to do something magical for me as well. And it's going to help me go within me as well. It's like we're magnifying. Yeah, it's like a magnifying glass of someone doing it and me doing it and you doing it and someone else, and we're all observing each other. It's like all of our efforts are somehow like magnified and deepening. Anyway, went into that. Yeah, I wanted to share actually, of course, a painting. Oh yeah, I wanted to share about like fear and painting. So this is the soul of my personal fear, Olga's fear, the soul of fear, this lady. And she's very spiky. So I was like working with fear and I asked the soul of my fear to come through, and she's like very spiky, but she's very soft.
What does she need?
Sorry?
What does she need?
I wasn't talking about what was she needing, but I understood that she was very motherly and caring. And yeah, what she was doing is she was making sure that I'm okay. Like a mother. Like she's making sure yeah, that I'm safe. But there's this balance of how much like a helicopter parent versus completely not caring. Like where is that balance, right? And it's like I did learn that working with fear is actually a lot about healing my relationship with my mother, because I did learn that fear really feels to me very motherly. And I don't know if you remember last time we were talking about the spirit element, and I was talking about like how I saw fear as this dark cloud around our soul channel. Like if this is my soul channel or whatever, it flows and it's spherical, but it's like a bunch of spheres flowing. Like there was this big black cloud around the circumference of the soul channel, and I saw it as fear. Like, and fear was kind of helping anyone, any soul, any expansion of any soul to actually stay themselves. Because if you venture too far out, you are not yourself anymore. And the fear was helping you to exist.
Yeah. Safe, doesn't it? It keeps you in your comfort zone.
Yeah, but you can look at it from two sides, like, oh, it's not helping me to expand, but also like there's this opposite. Okay, I'm gonna share like how painting and fear, like I realize how it's a filtration system to help you be more of yourself, where fear is actually helping you, or it's like a natural force that helps. So yeah, I was like working on painting for some time and always paralyzed by fear. And later I realized that partly the paralysis happens because of my perfectionism. And like if I have an image in my head, I was working so hard to recreate that image in a painting. And I considered it a failure if it wasn't the same as in my head. And guess what? In my head, it's like spiritual visions that keep moving and changing colors. And, like if you are having some kind of trip aided by substances, kind of like that. Like, can you draw that? Can you paint that? Because it's always changing and it's just not stable. And it's always communicating with you. So like there's zero, you can't paint that because it's always changing. But I didn't think of it. I was like, no, it must be this way. It cannot be different. And the fear that I was feeling that I can't recreate my visions. I can't recreate my visions. I can't recreate my visions. Or I'll have to throw this paper away and I'll have to be a failure. Somehow it changed to let's explore other avenues, how we can paint so that I can get what I truly want out of this painting, which helped me to get do a lot of deep diving and realizing, why am I doing this anyway? Then I realized that, actually, the reason I want to paint and I enjoy painting, like in the process, is actually being alive and exploring the image while I'm painting, which got me to like a phrase that I like to use. There are no wrong brush strokes. Just as in painting, so in life. There are no wrong brush strokes. Be alive and actually like create, and then create from that and expand and expand and expand and build on it and be in the moment, like in the flow, in the moment. That's when your painting is really going to be alive. And when you're actually going to enjoy the hell out of it because you have had this wonderful, alive, bright experience rather than a very closed experience of, I need to recreate this vision like a scanner or like a psychic photograph, Why would you do that? You've seen that vision. It's done. You want to share it, share something alive. So in this sense, like fear helped me. If I didn't feel fear about, failing, not being able to recreate the thing completely, exactly, I would probably get like really good at technical painting and I'd just get better and better and better. And I know I have the stamina for it. I'd just be like a very realistic painter and do that. But the fear that I felt really helped me to go inside. The fear didn't let me do something that's not mine. It didn't let me go outside of my soul channel kind of thing and do something that's not me and that doesn't feel alive to me. And I'm sure there are many people who love to do realistic art and great. Not my thing, apparently. So it helped me to go within and find out what really matters here and to go and like be more free in painting. And yeah, fear like slowly dissipates. So anyone who wants to deal with fear, I want to say like painting is a great way to do it because it's just a paper, you can throw it away. It's not like something so serious in life, like making major decisions.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've got a question for you, Olga. I think I've read somewhere or I heard somewhere that a lot of people are afraid of death. Mm-hmm. You, as a medium, and as you had any, all the interesting, let's just say, encounters and insights into your own life and your soul in general, what's your take on that?
Fear of death. I used to be so afraid of death when I was a teenager and like a little kid. So afraid of death. I always used to fantasize that there's going to be a vampire, a real vampire. I love vampire movies. And this is my theory, actually. I think teenagers love vampire movies for that reason. Because when you're young, or at least when I was young, I was facing this fear that I'm going to die and I will not be able. The fear wasn't of dying, actually, but the fear of was that, oh no, I'm going to die and I won't be able to do everything that I have planned to do in my life. And I planned extremely too much of stuff that is not mine. because I heard, oh, I had to get it had to be like a certain house. I had to have so many cars. I had to do at least 2 PhDs. You can see that this is not my desire, right? I had to do at least 2 PhDs. I had to have a very handsome young husband before 21. I had to have at least 3 kids. I had to, like, this was my plan for my life. If I didn't do that, I failed in my mind because I listened a lot to other people. And I had to have a garden of fruit and vegetables. I had to, okay. So that's why I wanted to be a vampire, because I was like, I need to live forever to be able to do all that stuff, because I knew this is not realistic. And then I had a near-death experience at 16, which like an accident, motorbike accident with a handsome fella. Anyway, he was driving. So that helped me like really stop being afraid of death.
But what happened? So you're skipping the good stuff. What happened?
Well, in that experience of like near death, right? I was shown by my guides. They're like, why did you come here? Because I was floating in everythingness and nothingness, in some kind of dark place, like a void or whatever you call it. I felt everything in all directions. And I perceived everything in all directions. And nothing was hidden from me. Like whatever I wanted to know, it was there. I knew that. Whatever I wanted to find out, it was there. And then my guides were asking me these questions like, Olga, do you think you came here to have PhDs? Because right now you know everything. How, like, compare that to a PhD in this life? How much is that compared to the everythingness of the universe? Do you think that you came from everythingness of the universe into this human body so you can have 2 PhDs? Do you think you did that for that purpose? And I'm like, no. Why would I do that? No, I already have that. Then they're like, they went to family. Do you think that now that you're connected to everything and everyone, whoever you wish to explore, do you think you came here to be in this human body for a family, you know, to have a family? Only for that? Like, no, because I already felt more connection than a family on earth can ever have. And then they kept asking such questions in every goal that I had in my life. Do you think you came here to have a career so people are going to think you're a cool, prestigious person? When now you love yourself, you know, like unconditionally? Do you think you came into this human body so that you can have a nice, fancy job and buy fancy things so that people look at you and say, oh, she's cool? No, no. So
what did you came here for?
Exactly. They didn't tell me, but
oh, Jesus Christ.
No. But they showed. They told me like you came here for something else, and they told me if you died today, like seriously died, not half died, but like today you died. Would you be happy with the life that you lived as Olga? Would you be satisfied? What would you be? You know, your summary of it. And I was like, no, I wouldn't be happy. Because I'm always living in fear. Oh my God, back to fear. That's why I asked. Because I'm always living in fear. And I'm always living and trying to run ahead of everybody else, trying to run ahead of myself, trying to run ahead of my fear. Like always not enough, always not enough. And just feeling really miserable, really. Because I'm always behind everything in my perception. And they're like, exactly. They're like, but death can come at any moment in your life. And I kind of got that. I think in my life, I'm going to actually die from an accident or something, but maybe not. But they said it can happen anytime. They showed me a bus and a bus accident. They're like, it can happen anytime. So they're like, you better ask yourself this question. If I finished my life today, right now, how would I look back at my life and what would I think? Like, what did I have pleasure? Am I satisfied? Am I having good feelings about it? Like, yes, that was a great life. Or am I going to cry and say, oh my God, what did I do? Like this was darkness and grayness and not alive at all. Like, what was I thinking? So that was their guidance for me, to live every day where you actually are okay to die right now. And they'll, like, somehow I understood it as a knowing that we are all going to die, like in a perfect time for us. They're like, when it's just the perfect time for us, we as souls make that decision together with our guides and, whatever. But we make that decision, even though our human brain doesn't think so. Every death is perfect. Yeah, so that's why I'm not afraid of death anymore, because I understood, like, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect.
So what advice would you give to people who are afraid of death, or maybe maybe their time is coming soon? What would you say to them?
Oh man, that's like really hard, because my situation is not other people's situation, and things are very difficult in the human realm of human brains. I gotta think about that.
So there are two types of fears that people are mostly afraid of, from what I heard. One is people are afraid of dying, which you've already shared quite a lot about, and hopefully you'll come back to this. And two, from what I heard, people are afraid of public speaking. And the reason, from what I heard, the reason why people are afraid of public speaking is because whenever they speak out, they usually are afraid of themselves. They start again having that inner voice. I was like, oh, what would they think of me? What if I say something wrong? Oh, what if they judge me? Or what if my voice is not that way? Or what if I say something messed up or something like that? And that fear stems from, again, focusing on yourself, focusing on your own ego, kind of a thing. Whereas I think the key with public speaking is, instead of focusing on yourself, focusing on your own ego, focus on the message you're trying to give. Focus on what you're trying to give to people. Focus on the people themselves instead of on your own thing. And that is one of the great lessons I learned about fear and public speaking. So, coming back to the previous question I had for you, and anything else actually you have to add to this, Olga?
I have like a million things, I think, but I think we're good for today. Okay, now I'm going to share this one thing. Because I work with Odin, like on many, like basically on everything. So before talking to you, I called in Odin and I asked him, what can you share with me today about fear that would be useful for me? And he gave me two scenarios. Like, one scenario is a person who's riding into battle and being very, very afraid because battles are scary. There is like this extreme fear of death. Like, he showed me like a person who's riding into it and going through it anyway. And there's something happens in that moment when you're going through it anyway. And then he showed me, look, if this person wouldn't do that, he has like a backstory of like, okay, let's say he is living under someone. Maybe he has to pay a lot of taxes from his farm to somebody, He's not living a full life. Or he's living, like, let's say he's being a farmer, but he's being on unsuitable land where you cannot really make much food. So his life before that courageous thing is something that is not very much alive, he said. And he's doing it for a reason. Whatever his reason, we don't judge that, but he has a reason. So he goes into battle, he faces this fear, and something about like striking it, just I saw it as this orange ball of light of like, and that to me like felt like life. And then he said, if he wins the battle, he goes to have a farmland, much better farmland, or he doesn't have to pay taxes, like extremely too much taxes to somebody ruling over him or something like that. So his quality of life, his life force is going to increase, like more orange, I saw. And even if he dies in battle, somehow I saw that would be much more full of life and experience than just never taking any risk and never doing anything about your life that you're not happy about, and just keep toiling away and like this grayness. And he said the same thing he showed me a boat and people crossing the sea, and they don't know where they're going. They know they can possibly die. It's very, very scary to go out to sea to find other lands. And it's the same thing, except that it's not a battle, it's a sea. Wherever you're coming from, you left that place because you were seeking more life. You're going somewhere. It's scary as hell, but they're going through it anyway. And whatever they're going to get on the other side is full of life, more full of life. And he mentioned this, that even if you die in the sea, that's still going to be a greater amount of life than if you just stayed where you are and just lived that gray life. So that's like what he, that's what he taught. Something about fear is related to the amount and direction of life. So, yeah. Right. Kind of like about the painting, or like what you said, change with the public speaking. Instead of thinking about, what people are going to think about me or something like that, changing what your focus is. The fear helped me to experience more life out of paintings today, because I went through for it, and turns out that I ended up on different land. Because at that time I thought the goal is to recreate an image perfectly. Turns out fear led me somewhere which is more life, because now I'm enjoying the freedom of brushstrokes and allowing them to go wherever they are, and I'm not afraid of screwing up a painting. I'm actually excited with the new different brushstrokes and going like, let's see where this one takes me. And my paintings are faster and more alive and easier. So I think same with public speaking as well. So you asked that question. What? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Go on.
You asked what advice would I give to someone at the end of life? Okay, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, what would I give to myself so that I'm like, I don't know. I would say this: if I know that I'm laying in bed and I'm about to die, like tomorrow or something, even in a second, like in an accident or something, if I have a second to think about it, I would do this. I would look at the moments in my life that were super duper amazing, and I would be grateful for it. Not because of the scarcity thing, like mentality of like, let's just pick at least the few coins that I did have or something, the few pentacles that I did collect. No, it's about like highlighting or like focusing and bringing it up that, look, I've done this, I've done that. These are the points of life where I felt most life. And I would be like focusing on how grateful I am for these times when I felt the most life. And also, like, if you actually or are going to, let's say you're not going to die, you're going to continue living. It's like the advice is now, create more of those moments in your life where you feel life. where you feel that explosion of life, create them. And that is working with fear. Whether you're looking at it as a mother or like motherly figure or whatever, a fog, a black fog, like I see it, it doesn't matter. But if you're creating more of those experiences with like explosions of orange light, I'd say like that's the only probably reason why we came here. And it looks different for everyone. But I feel that's the only reason we came here, to experience that flash of light. And for everyone, it comes from different activities. But the flash of light is the same. It's like expansion, man. This is your expansion. Like you're expanding when you're exploding. Expansion scapes, man. Yeah.
So,
do you have anything to add?
First of all, thank you ever so much for sharing that, and like being able to again, like focusing on the good that the person has experienced, instead of focusing on, oh no, I wouldn't be able, like, again, that instead of focusing on the scarcity of what's left, focusing on, oh, that's been, it's been beautiful of the life that I've lived. And also, I would just add to that, this excitement of what happens after, like what else you got to experience. Because one of the things, for me, what helped me release the fear of dying is basically the realization, this is an ankh, that we are immortal in the sense of our conscious mind or our consciousness, even after dying, still exists. So for me, having that awareness that we have eternity of consciousness, that relieved a lot of like fears I had, as I've watched a lot of videos about people who had similar experience to yours, who passed away, and well, not passed away, but had like near-death experience, and basically they were shown something very similar to what you have been shown, in the sense of basically the person had a review of their life thus far, kind of a thing, and then like there was so much love there. There was so much unconditional love there, waiting for them on the other side, knowing that for me personally, that helped to relieve a lot of fear of dying. So that's what it was for me, which kind of leads me to another thing, in a sense, because I've realized that me personally, and perhaps for a lot of people might be afraid of loving, like to be able to love another person. They might be afraid of doing that. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, it's certainly courageous. And we certainly all get bad experiences with that. And right now I'm just asking myself, and I'm getting this, the most courageous thing in the world that you can do is to love yourself. Because once you start, the more you love yourself, the more you want to give to yourself those life experiences. And wow. The more, it kind of won't even matter if the person loves you back, because you're just going for it. You're just expressing your love for another person, and there are no wrong brushstrokes. If it goes this way or that, that's fine. But you've taken that brushstroke. You made your painting beautiful. You made your life beautiful. So take that step, and that's you always expressing how much you love yourself. With another person, it's still you expressing how much you love yourself.
Wow, thank you. That's some deep wisdom right there, Olga. Thank you so much.
Thanks for asking, because I didn't know that before I said that, because it came from within. I should write that down. That's going in my book.
It's recorded, so you don't have to. So I think on that point, I think we should wrap up. Unless there's anything else you want to add?
Yes, there is actually, because like there was a little bell ringing in my ear or something, and it was saying this. Look, Olga, you shared how they took you to that place of like love, joy, connection, I don't know, perception. And they asked you, oh, did you come here for PhDs or for a family or for a job or for money or for prestige or something? So I want to like make it clear that they were not devaluing anything we do here in life. They're not devaluing the value of having a family. They're not devaluing having education, whatever degrees you might be working on, any kind of jobs or money or houses or cars or anything. They were not devaluing it. But they were pointing out to me that this is not this, like I was approaching it from like the gray outer shell of those desires, and not like I wasn't actually, those desires were not alive in me. I was just copying other people. So yeah, I want to clarify, if you're having a family, that's your thing, then like find the thing within this experience of having a family. Like, why are you doing this? Because I was fear driven. Oh, I have to have a family so that my family doesn't say I'm stupid and couldn't make a family. That's no reason to have a family. Oh, I want to have PhDs because I don't want anyone saying I'm stupid and I don't know anything. Everything was fear driven for me. Everything was gray. Everything was dead, pretty much. I was just chasing paper, chasing a picture, perfect. But I wasn't chasing life. I wasn't going for life. So for someone, experiencing life would be painting and expressing themselves like me. But for somebody, experiencing life would be having a family. For somebody, experiencing life would be doing research, scientific research, and having their 20 PhDs. So I would say, like, instead of going at it from outside in, like, find within what is it that gives you that fire, like, wow, I just love having a family and like lots of people and whatever you do in the family, or I love my research, I love to go out and like find out new stuff. If that's, that gives you that life, then the PhDs come with it. Then all the children come with it. The whatever, money comes with it, cars. So yeah, go from within, not from without. Express how much you love yourself. Okay, now that's it.
Pretty good.
I hope we got pretty intimate with fear right now. Do you feel more intimate with fear?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I think we've done a very good job at explaining. Yeah. So thank you ever so much for watching this beautiful podcast organized by Olga and me, just coming along the journey, really.
I'm very grateful for you, Dariusz, because you make everything fun and actually less scary. That's your magic.
Well, again, it's like I said, the fear is afraid of me at this point, so
we should make a voodoo doll of Dariusz and carry him around to like against fear. To get rid of fear. May Dariusz help me. Okay, I'm just joking. Okay, well, thanks everyone who came to listen to this interaction about fear. I hope to see you guys again in another topic. I hope to see you, Dariusz, again. Okay, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.